Surviving in Shipwrecked really comes down to what you do in the first mild season of the game, or the first 20 days. So today I'm going to be taking you through all the things you should do in the first 20 days of a new game. And before we start, if you are new to Shipwrecked and don't starve in general, I'm talking like less than 5 to 10 hours, the best advice I can give you is to just play the game, even if you die. A lot. As soon as you wash up on the shore in Shipwrecked, you'll find yourself on a relatively small island. Don't expect to find everything you need on this island, but also don't be afraid to take a little bit of time and gather what's offered to you. You should also craft a hammer, which you can do without a science machine in Shipwrecked, and smash all the crates you find. That should give you a handful of boards, rope, and a boat repair kit. Your first objective should be to build a raft. If you have the resources on your island, build a raft instead of a log raft. The two are identical in all aspects except the raft is slightly faster. And if you're playing as Walani, obviously you're going to be using your surfboard instead. Even if you take your time, you shouldn't be on the first island for more than a day or 2 days max. Keep in mind that you need 3 boards and 4 vines for a rowboat, and you're going to want to build one as soon as you can make a science machine. Okay, so you've got your raft and you've collected a bunch of materials from the starting island. The next thing you should be doing is finding a nearby island with gold. I've never found gold on the starting island, but some people have sworn that they have, so if you are lucky enough to find gold on the first island, you should build a science machine. If there is no gold, you should be able to find an island relatively quickly by straddling the line between the coast and the sea. Some people tend to just head out from the island in one direction, hope that they stumble onto another one. Not only is this dangerous if you don't find one, but in the time that it takes to maybe find one, you could have already found 2 or 3. The islands tend to cluster together in rings, so if you find one, there's a good chance that there are quite a few others nearby. And don't underestimate the importance of pressing Q and E to rotate your view. Sometimes you can spot something out of the corner of the map that you wouldn't have otherwise. The raft is quite slow, so it helps to set out as soon as day breaks to give you the maximum amount of time to look for an island, but you're still kinda at the mercy of the game. And if you don't manage to find an island with gold by around afternoon on your first day exploring, just jump off the boat at the nearest shore and just collect some more resources until morning. You can always gather things like food, snakeskin, bamboo, and vines depending on how much inventory space you have at this point. It really shouldn't take you too many days to find an island with gold, and as soon as you do, there are a few things that you're going to want to craft ASAP. Firstly, a science machine to allow you to build more advanced items, and at this point I normally craft a spear, unless you're playing as Wigfrid, in which case you would use a battle spear, a shovel, a backpack, and a rowboat equipped with a thatched sail. So it helps if you've gathered enough to craft all of that immediately. At this stage of the game, unless you've stumbled onto an absolutely amazing island, you're still going to be nomadic, which means that fire pits, crockpots, drying racks, and just base items in general are not really necessary yet, and probably shouldn't be crafted as it's using resources you might need for something more urgent. So now that you've got your boat, you're ready to hit the seas, and this is probably the most important period of the first season. If you've done everything so far correctly, you should be left with around 15 days until the next season. Technically, you don't need to do anything in this time, but everything that you manage to do will greatly increase your chance of survival. That's why this always ends up being a bit of a mad rush in my games, because I'm trying to do as many things as I can before the next season hits. Also, there is no order for the things that you should do first. It really depends on how you like to play the game and what character you're playing as. For example, if you play as Wolfgang or Wigfrid, who have pickier food requirements, you might like to get a little base set up, even a temporary one, so that you can put down a crockpot, as that's going to help you a lot to stay well fed. I personally like to go for speed, and I'll try to get a walking cane and coffee as soon as I can. These things in turn will make everything else a lot quicker, and the volcano is also useful to find for later in the game. I'm not going to go into detail about how to summon or kill Kraken, to get the walking cane, but if you haven't encountered Quacken before, I would highly recommend bringing along a boat repair kit and a weapon that's better than a regular spear, whether that be a cutlass or a hand bat or something else, that's up to you. It's also worth noting that the walking cane is only a 50% chance drop from killing the Quacken, so you might not actually get it from killing it the first time, and after killing the Quacken you need to wait 20 days to be able to summon it again. So while this might be daunting for unexperienced players to go after a boss in the early game, if you don't, you might not get a walking cane for a long time. You can get one from the slot machine, but it is a minute chance, and I wouldn't recommend doing it that way. As for coffee, the hardest part of getting it is probably finding the damn volcano in the first place. The strategy that I use to find it is to first find the edge of the map, then head a little bit inwards, and then just keep sailing around the map in a square shape until you find it. It also helps to position your main base near the volcano so that you have quick access if you need it, or rather when you need it. Again, I'm not going to mention too much about the coffee growing process, but I'll give you a few tips if you're new to the whole thing. Firstly, you need ash and not manure to fertilize the coffee plants. When you find them, they will be withered because they grow in summer, and if you dig them straight up without fertilizing them, you just get some twigs instead. You also need to fertilize them again when you plant them in your base so that they actually grow. You'll need to collect at least 20 to 30 coffee plants to have a decent supply of coffee, so that's already like 60 ash required, so be aware of that. You can always gather things like seeds and burn them with a torch for easy ash, but that's still a lot. These two things alone end up taking me most of the remaining time in the season, so you can see that you most likely will need to prioritize what you want to do. Among some other things you might want to do in the first season, you can make a miner hat, make a bee box, find a place where swordfish spawn for getting the cutlass, find the octopus or the slot machine if that's your thing, make a snakeskin hat for the rain, gather some reeds for a bird cage. There are so many things that you can do to improve your chances of surviving, and this is the best time to do the majority of them. Basically, just don't waste your time. I try to leave setting up my base until after I've done pretty much everything on this list. I would say the trap most new people fall into is thinking that they need a base as soon as they can build one to stay safe. Unlike Reign of Giants, where you can explore the whole map in the first 5 days, finding all the islands in Shipwrecked can take dozens of days, and most of the time I don't even get around to doing it until after the first year of playing. So it doesn't make much sense to build a base on an island straight away, only to find that you're in the corner of the map or far away from things that you need. If you've done everything that you wanted to do in the first 20 days, then feel free to explore a bit and go house hunting for nice islands to set up your base. Alright, at this point you're probably wondering why I haven't mentioned anything about food. This game is Don't Starve after all. Well, the main reason is that after 20 days you might not have a base set up, in which case you can get all the food you need from jellyfish, limpets, berries, sweet potato, etc. I will say that once you've settled down, the absolute, without a doubt, hands down, best food in the game is fish. Build 10 fish farms, and even if you're playing as Wolfgang, you will not have to worry about food ever. You can use them to make surf and turf, which is amazing for sanity, meatballs, which is the stock standard. You can turn them into eggs with a bird, you can dry them on a rack. They really are the be all and end all of food in this game. And you only need coconuts, rope and silk to craft them with a science machine. I also haven't mentioned much about the crocodogs in this game, the version of hounds that come to attack you, and that's mainly because in the first 20 days you'll probably only get 1 or 2 waves of them, and unless you're playing as someone who's really weak like Wes, you probably will be able to handle them on your own. There'll probably only be 2 or 3 of those, and if not, you should be able to find something like spiders or monkeys or dolphins to take care of them for you, so I wouldn't really worry too much about things like that. And apart from that, I think that's about all the advice that I can give for the first 20 days. Hopefully with this information you can improve your own runs in Shipwrecked and make it the whole year. I tried to remember everything that I could, but I'm sure there are things that I've forgotten, so feel free to ask any questions in the comments section and I'll try my best to answer them. If you've been on this channel a while, you'll know that this isn't the kind of video I normally make, but I'm thinking about doing more in the future, so give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it or found it useful, and leave some suggestions in the comments for other areas that you might like some help in the future. Thanks for watching, take care.